Imagine losing your spouse. And then, before you've even had time to grieve, a clock quietly starts ticking in the background, one that most people don't even know exists. 9 months. That's all you may have to make critical financial decisions that could determine whether you keep your home, your savings, and the life you built together, or watch it slip away piece by piece. Here's the unsettling part. This isn't some rare loophole or obscure rule buried in fine print. It's a real deadline tied to IRS regulations that can impact widows and widowers across the country. And every year, countless people miss it. Not because they're careless, but because no one ever told them it was there. In the middle of emotional stress, paperwork, and major life changes, you're suddenly expected to understand complex tax rules, estate decisions, and filing statuses that could either protect your financial future or quietly cost you thousands. What happens if you miss it? What decisions need to be made within those 9 months? And why are so many families blindsided by something so important? In this video, we're breaking it all down in simple, clear terms, so you know exactly what to watch for, what to do, and how to protect everything you and your spouse worked so hard to build. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, because this is information everyone needs to hear, and you could help someone avoid a devastating mistake. Right after the loss of a spouse, life doesn't just feel different. It becomes overwhelming in ways most people are never truly prepared for. There's the emotional weight, of course, the grief that can come in waves when you least expect it. But layered on top of that is something far less talked about, yet just as critical: the sudden responsibility of handling financial and legal matters that were often shared, or sometimes entirely managed by the person who is no longer there. And this is where that quiet ticking clock begins to matter more than ever. Many people don't realize that the months following a spouse's passing are not just a time of mourning. They are also a legally sensitive window filled with deadlines that can significantly affect your financial future. One of the most important among them is the 9-month period tied to key estate-related decisions. While it may sound like plenty of time, it can disappear faster than you think, especially when you're navigating unfamiliar territory while emotionally drained. During this period, one of the most crucial elements to understand is how the estate is handled. When someone passes away, everything they owned, their assets, property, accounts, and sometimes even debts, becomes part of what is legally referred to as their estate. Depending on the situation, this estate may need to go through a legal process called probate, where the court oversees the distribution of assets according to a will, or, if there is no will, according to state law. This process can be complex, time-consuming, and, if not managed properly, costly. Now here's where the urgency really comes in. Within that 9-month time frame, certain elections and filings may need to be made, particularly when it comes to taxes. For example, there are situations where an estate may be subject to federal estate tax, and the deadline to file the necessary return is generally 9 months from the date of death. Missing this deadline doesn't just result in a simple slap on the wrist. It can lead to penalties, interest, and complications that could reduce the value of the estate significantly. But even beyond estate taxes, there are other financial decisions that may need to be made within this period. One of the most overlooked areas is the opportunity to make specific tax elections that could benefit the surviving spouse. These elections can impact how assets are valued, how income is reported, and ultimately, how much tax is owed. If these decisions are delayed or ignored, the chance to take advantage of certain financial protections may be lost entirely. Think about that for a moment. In the middle of dealing with loss, funeral arrangements, and the emotional aftermath, you are also expected to make precise financial decisions that could affect your long-term security. It's not just difficult, it's incredibly unfair. Yet, this is the reality many people face. Another layer to this is understanding filing status for income taxes. In the year your spouse passes away, you may still be able to file jointly, which often provides better tax benefits. However, this changes in the following years, and if you're not prepared, you could see a noticeable increase in your tax burden. There are also special provisions for qualifying widow or widower status that can offer temporary relief, But again, these depend on meeting specific criteria and understanding how and when to apply them. Then there's the issue of beneficiary designations. Assets like retirement accounts, life insurance policies, and certain bank accounts often pass directly to named beneficiaries, bypassing probate altogether. But if these designations are outdated or unclear, it can lead to delays, disputes, or even assets going to unintended recipients. In some cases, the surviving spouse may need to act quickly to claim or retitle these assets to avoid complications. Property ownership is another area where timing matters. If a home or other real estate was jointly owned, the surviving spouse typically becomes the sole owner automatically. However, there may still be paperwork to file and decisions to make regarding valuation and potential tax implications. Getting this wrong, or simply not addressing it in time, can create issues down the road, especially if the property is later sold. And let's not forget about debts. While it's a common fear that a surviving spouse will inherit all of the deceased partner's debts, that's not always the case. However, certain obligations may still need to be addressed by the estate, and understanding which debts are valid and how they should be handled is essential. Creditors may come forward during this time, and knowing your rights can prevent unnecessary payments or financial strain. What makes all of this even more challenging is the fact that there is no universal checklist handed to you when a spouse passes away. Most people are left to figure things out on their own, often relying on incomplete information or well-meaning advice that may not apply to their specific situation. This is why so many individuals miss critical deadlines. They simply don't know what they don't know. The 9-month mark isn't just a number. It represents a window of opportunity, a period where the right actions can preserve wealth, reduce taxes, and create a smoother transition into the next chapter of life. But once that window closes, certain options are gone for good. Extensions may be available in some cases, but they are not guaranteed, and they often come with additional requirements or limitations. So what can you do to protect yourself during this time? The first step is awareness, and that's exactly what you're gaining right now. Understanding that this timeline exists puts you ahead of many others who may not realize it until it's too late. The next step is to gather information. Locate important documents, including wills, trusts, account statements, and insurance policies. Knowing what exists and where it is can save valuable time. Seeking professional guidance is also one of the smartest moves you can make. An experienced tax advisor or estate attorney can help you navigate the complexities, ensure that deadlines are met, and identify opportunities that you might otherwise miss. While there may be a cost involved, it is often far less than the potential financial losses that can result from mistakes or inaction.